You know what? I think the fact that Trump is still alive tells you that JFK was killed by Oswald acting alone. I mean, come on. Like, what the fuck? Not to mention the fact that JFK is, before Trump, the most blackmailable president in history. I mean, he was banging German spies, East German spies, and mafia princesses. He was banging Sam Giancana's girlfriend. It's not like he was keeping that shit secret. You gotta fucking kill him? Give me a fucking break. Even if he was threatening the CIA, which, come on, the guy ran to the right of Nixon on national security in 1960. Even if he was, you're gonna tell me that they couldn't fucking blackmail him? Come on, give me a fucking break. The wine I'm drinking is an Australian Syrah slash cab. It's $6, and I basically rolled the dice and said, most $6 wine is undrinkable swill, but I fucking drank an entire bottle of Adam Carolla's Mangria earlier this week. So I figured even if it's bad, I can handle it. It'll taste like fucking Chateau Lafite Rothschild comparatively. And you know what? It's pretty fucking good for $6. Dollar and pound bargain, as Newton Gingrich would say. I have to tell you, people, Adam Carolla's Mangria is the worst thing I've ever drunk. And I drink Steel Reserve all the time. I drink Mad Dog, fucking Manischewitz, the Boone's Farm. I've had all of that. Nothing compares to the absolute shit swill of Adam Carolla's Mangria. It is like brake fluid filtered through a jock strap. It's disgusting. I like the Reddit MMA. I'd probably do another one in the future, especially if we have a launch of a new product or something, or a new platform or whatever. You know what? I've heard that Dan Aykroyd's vodka is good. I would try it if I could get my hands on some. It's very expensive, though, and it's like the idea of paying a lot of money for vodka seems really stupid. It's fucking vodka. Who's drinking it by itself anyway? Oh, man. You know what? I finally tried Malort when I was in D.C., and it tasted like fucking pine needles. It was horrifying. But you know what? I didn't have it with grapefruit juice, but somebody said if you have it with grapefruit juice, it's not bad. And I actually totally got it. Like, I could see the profile working with grapefruit juice. The best cocktail to have with Dan Aykroyd's Skull Vodka is with the rebranded Ecto Cooler for a Ghostbusters beverage. You know what? Best domestic. I'm a Milwaukee boy. I'm gonna say the High Life. The champagne of beers, Miller High Life. I could drink that all night. I mean, it's not good, but man, it's just... I mean, Budweiser tastes like the weird rice shit. Fuck that. PBR is actually kind of gross. I like the taste of Schlitz, but it gives me a headache. Give me a fucking High Life all the way. I fucking wish I had weed. I have no weed. Yeah, they did. Red Letter Media did do that. It was hilarious. And I would like to... I would drink that. Well, New Glarus is awesome, and I'm wearing their shirt, but it's not anybody's idea of a cheap beer. They got a Hefeweiss now that's very good. Would Ellison have won if he was Shia? Well, I mean, everyone should be Shia. I mean, that's the solution to all world problems, is to make everyone Shia. Alevi specifically. The Alevis are really good. Shout out to Julia in Sweden. I'll keep Golden Rolled. I'll keep that in mind. She is good because it's the minority, and that's the way it works with religions. The persecuted minority religion is where all of the compassion and all the good art and the sense of humor comes from. I forget who it was. It might have been Jacob Backrod, but somebody pointed out that, like, in the history of England, the only people who made good art were Catholics, Jews, and homosexuals. And it's true. Like, the Church of England, the hegemonic Protestantism produced nothing. I mean, yeah, all right, Milton, whatever. You might like Milton. Cromwell. Milton Friedman is a cuck. Fuck him. Oh, caffeine-free Diet Coke is the most baffling beverage on earth. Because there's two reasons to drink Coke. For the taste and for the caffeine. And to have neither, I honestly wonder if you're just some sort of weird masochist. Like if you're doing it to mortify yourself. Awful. Yeah, no, it was not the Mormons' fault, because the Mormon prohibition is not on caffeine, which I thought until recently. It's against hot beverages. And coffee is obviously one of the main hot beverage. So like you can't get a lot of Starbucks in Utah, but they love fucking caffeine in Coke, which is just like me. So in that respect, I'm Mormon sympathetic. The best flavor of chips I've ever had were the experimental contest-winning Lay's. You know how they have those the user chosen flavors, the biscuits and gravy. Those are so fucking good, and I haven't seen one for months. Those assholes, they put them out there and then they take them away, and it's just fucking psychotic. It's so good. Political violence is a very fraught topic. I'm skeptical of its efficacy, but I'm even more skeptical of the efficacy of scolding people for doing it. Like, I think the degree to which political violence, limited though it may be, is a negative impact on left goals is dwarfed by the degree to which hand-wringing and fucking bedwetting among leftists does. I mean, my God, which one of those has been a more endemic feature of leftism in the last 30 years? Political violence or people fucking pissing themselves about shit. You know, I mean, you're not gonna tell a fucking Bay Area anarchist what to do in a fucking tweet or an op-ed anyway. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. Just fucking do what you're gonna do. Like, if you don't think that's a good tactic, fucking find one you like and do that one. Freddie DeBoer wisely logged off, which we should probably all do, but I never will, because I'm a piece of shit, and I'm going to die online. Man, I gotta say, this is pretty great now. I get on the Periscope and I get nothing but hearts. It used to be when I did these, the only time I got hearts is when I showed the fucking dog. The dog is away. He's sleeping. I can't show you the dog. I can show you guys the cat if you want to see the cat. There's the cat. His name is Pierpont. He's a tuxedo. And there's Joker and Private Pile. And there's Pierpont. See, that's the thing. Like, I guess I would just broadly call myself a socialist. If you just, this is the easiest thing to say, but man, beyond that, we're too far. We're way too far from the practical application of any of this shit to be fighting over labels. We're at the very beginning of something, and I think that's what people have a hard time getting their heads around and causes them to fucking weird out, is that they do not get how fucking early in the process we are. They think that they're in 1917, but we're actually like, what? We're like the fucking Narodniks going to the mirrors and getting their shit kicked out of them by the peasantry in the 1880s. I mean, we're in the wilderness. And people, especially because the internet speeds everything up so much, and we live in this hyper state of speed and instant gratification, that even people who are countercultural and anti-capitalist can't escape the capitalist lure of instant success, instant gratification, instant ascension. And we're still in a 19th, like getting political power is still a 19th century game, in the sense that it is a game of bodies, and it is a game of mobilization, and it is a game of networks. And yeah, the internet can help facilitate that, but it can't replace it. And people can't get their head around that, and they insist, no, all we need is a vanguard party of people that I know from a goddamn subreddit, and we're going to fucking take over the government. No, you're not. I'm sorry. So I'm a socialist. Beyond that, we can fucking figure out anybody on the left, anybody who is against capitalism should be on the same side right now. And we can fucking fight out anything more specific than that when it matters. And right now it does not matter at all. We're way too early in the process for it to matter. People should be afraid of Mike Pence. He's a fucking ghoul. He's a zombie. He's a monster. And the big danger of Trump getting out of there and then Pence taking over is that a lot of the energy would be dispersed and people would take the victory at face value. And then when Pence wants to pass right to work nationwide, or put an ED 209 on the Supreme Court, a grateful liberal populace is going to say fine just because they're so happy that normalcy is back. And that is a real danger. I'd much prefer at this point having the idiotic, child-brained, incompetent moron stumble around and just absorb hatred of basically everyone outside of the Republican core demographic for the next 4 years. You guys see that shit in Delaware today? Fucking a district a state senate district that went for the Democrat by like 2 points in 2014 went by 20 this year. And yeah, it's an off year, which is when Democrats don't come out. It's good. Make this idiot the lightning rod forever. Pence is way too normal. Pence is way too what people are used to. I don't know how to make anti-capitalist propaganda better for the easier, but I hope we can help. If you have a good idea, as we get more outlets, we're going to be looking for people who know anything. We're looking for ideas. We're looking for a few good ideas. Democrats can't talk about working class solidarity because they're not a working class party, and they're never been. Even when they made their alliance with with the labor movement, it was always a marriage of convenience. They never had their heart into it. They were never taken over, so they were never a working class party. And then any illusion that they were was dashed about 30 years ago. And it's just been a process of it's been a dumb show ever since, just a fantasy of it ever since. Yeah, but it's interesting. Like, I've been thinking about that, the old question, the famous question: why is there no Labor Party in the United States, or no socialism in the United States? And the thing is that if you look at the countries that have genuine socialist parties that were generated by because the thing is that. There's all these theories, and I have a pet theory, and it's a pretty simple one. The reason that the U.S. doesn't have a Labor Party is because the U.S. is the only Western country to have a party system that predated the labor movement. Basically, all of Europe the mass democracy and party democracy was a 19th century, mid to late 19th century creation. You didn't see mass enfranchisement and working class mobilization until that point. And so basically, it's like, okay, we have a party system. Of course, one of the parties is going to be a workers' party. The United States, because of its peculiar, dare I say, exceptional historical placement, had a well-entrenched party system that existed, 100 years almost before the Industrial Revolution really started creating a working class in the United States. So, of course, a political structure that basically necessitated two parties. One of them is going to make the choice to become the party of the working class, even though it is that if you look at all of those parties now, Socialist Party in France, Labour Party in the UK, Social Democrats in Germany, Labour Party in Australia, the first Labour Party in the Western world, guess what? They're all neoliberal shit parties like ours. Every single one of them. So there's really no difference. The processes are global. This is a global phenomenon with global repercussions. And we really, at this point, are no longer exceptional. And that's why the solutions have to be global. And that is the limitation of the Bernie Sanders sort of economic nationalism that needs to be pushed beyond. Is because we can't act like America is a very rich nation and it deserves to have the things of a very rich nation. No, I mean, our so much of our wealth is undergirded by third world exploitation, by slave labor in other countries. Any kind of meaningful movement is going to have to be holistic. We're not going to rebuild factories in the United States with some sort of tariff wall like Trump is pretending to believe in. We're going to rebuild prosperity by raising living standards and mobilizing workers everywhere. Shit, you said Target or IKEA. I think, yeah, IKEA. I was going to say, obviously IKEA, but Target actually, has a whole area now that they basically ripped off all of IKEA's designs. This couch looks like an IKEA couch, but it's actually a Target couch. But yeah, that is an IKEA lamp. My favorite stand-up is probably Mitch Hedberg, R.I.P., best pound-for-pound comedian ever. He would have owned Twitter if he'd been on Twitter, if he'd survived to get to Twitter. And Full Metal Jacket in the Kubrick pantheon. I'll make a shameful admission that I have not seen Barry Lyndon. A lot of my friends tell me it's great. I have to sit down and watch it sometime on a bigger TV than this. I think it's mid-tier. It's really good. I mean, I don't agree with those people who say that it gets bad once they go to Vietnam. I think there's still a lot of great stuff in the Vietnam parts. But compared to Clockwork or my personal favorite, Dr. Strangelove, the middle, yeah. And you got the first three or four. It's in the second, yeah. It's a lot of people like Eyes Wide Shut, and I've only really seen it the one time when I saw it in the theater. I'd have to watch it again to really make a claim. It left me a little cold when I saw it. The best Paul Thomas Anderson movie is There Will Be Blood, no question. My favorite will always be Boogie Nights. It's a sugar rush. It's like a femoral artery sugar rush of just pure enjoyment. But the movie itself, it can't be the best movie because, for one thing, it wears its influences way too much on its sleeve. It's too much of a pastiche of other filmmakers. And if you watch it again, count how many montages are in it. There are 6 to 8 montages in that movie. And montage, to me, is one of... the least effective modes of cinema, and if you can avoid it, you should. But man, it's entertaining. Oh, it's so good. And the scene at Alfred Molina's house is still one of the best in cinema history. Although I will still say that the last scene of There Will Be Blood is the best scene Paul Thomas Anderson has ever made. Apocalypse Now Redux is a good example of why you edit things. Like, you watch Apocalypse Now Redux, it's not a better film. You're not gaining anything, really. It's interesting. It's a curio, but for the love of God, if you're seeing it for the first time, see the original version first. I'm finished. Oh, God, that reminds me. Thank you. Somebody did the I'm finished. So many people, when that movie came out, said that he was like making some sort of existential statement when he says, I'm finished. Like, I killed this man, my life is over. No. Remember, he's passed out in the bowling alley with his lunch, right? Like, he has the lunch with the little steak on it. And then his manservant comes down and introduces Eli. And he beats Eli to death with a bowling pin. And then the manservant comes back downstairs and says, Mr. Daniel? And he says, I'm finished. As in, he's done with his lunch. And he fucking says right before he kills Eli, goes, I told you that I'd eat you. I told you I'd eat you up. He's consumed him. He's finished with him. He like everything else in the movie, he's finished his fucking ceaseless, rapacious consumption. It's not any sort of like self-abnegation or annihilation. It's one more consumption in a movie where he just consumes everything as he is an avatar of American frontier capitalism. Duh. Oh God, that SNL sketch sucks. I liked Arrival. I know a lot of people didn't, but I enjoyed it. First half's the best, but it's still pretty good all the way through. Only God Forgives is one of those movies that's so like terrible that you kind of respect it, because you're like, holy shit, this guy really was committed to coming through with this idea, even though it was terrible. Terrible. We have no idea how many international fans we have. There was a guy at the election night Genius show from Australia. That was cool, and I know we have a number of other Australian fans. A couple of Brits. That's about it that I know of. Hateful Eight is good, correct. People say go to Toronto. I think we could probably fill a room in Toronto. We could fill a room in Toronto, and I would like to do that. Never been to Toronto. I've been to Vancouver, but never to Toronto. We're not going to Calgary, dude. Come on. The fuck. Children of Men's best movie of the 21st century, I think, when I've been drinking enough. We're coming to Chicago. It's going to happen, I promise. And we're coming to LA. So, promises on both of those. Inherent Vice didn't do it for me. It's really the first P.T. Anderson movie since Magnolia that just did not do it for me. I'll still watch everything he makes, but I was just like, it's like he was almost intentionally making it unentertaining. I've been to Belfast, actually. I got really shit-faced, and I thought I was going to get my ass kicked, but my friend got me out of there before it happened. Fucking Belfast, I'll tear your fucking neck out from fucking Northern Ireland. I'd love to meet Jerry Adams, but I have not. The Wrestler's pretty good. I think that Kill Bill 2 is interesting just because it introduces Tarantino's later career sort of, I guess, I don't know, audience antagonism, sort of like self-referential, or not self-referential, self-awareness. But the first one is just almost a perfect action movie. I've heard that. I'm not going to watch that. I actually saw, I did see, I had the very great privilege to see him, Tony, and James Adomian do Bernie and Trump for like 5 minutes in Brooklyn, and they did this thing that has killed me and is still the funniest thing I've ever seen. They were like riffing on people sort of coming out of retirement and not being funny anymore, and Bernie as or James Adomian as Bernie is talking about how like uh, uh, Gary Larson would come back and like try to draw his famous cartoon of the kid trying to get into the gifted and talented program, only it looked like squiggly and bad. And then Tony said, or he pushes the door and it just opens because it's a push door. Funniest thing. I almost died. He's very good. It's a crime that he's not the SNL Trump. Green Room, best movie of 2016 of the ones I've seen. I'll see it. I'm going to watch the new MST3K, there's no question. I don't know if it'll be good, but I'll watch it. The Witch, one of my favorite movies. I still prefer Green Room. One of the reasons is because I love a good ending, and I feel like The Witch's ending was great, but I felt like it was reaching a point and then it kind of just ended, whereas Green Room had that way of like just finding the right punch. Like tell a great story and then find a perfect moment to just pounce out on. And that's a rare thing. I've heard that Autopsy of Jane Doe is good. I haven't seen it yet though. It follows as see. I just saw Get Out tonight and it's good, but it reminds me of It Follows in that the thing that kind of unites the most critically acclaimed horror films of the last few years, like It Follows, Babadook, Get Out. I'd say those are probably the most highly rated horror films of the last 2 years, is that they're not really scary. And that's fine. Horror isn't just about scaring you. It's got plenty of other things going on. But, I mean, I like a scary horror film. To feel like a horror film has really succeeded, I kind of have to feel like it scared me a little bit. And none of those are really scary to me. Joey Votto is elite. These idiots do not fucking deserve him. Every moron in fucking Cincinnati complains that he walks too much. Ugh. Philistines. Kill List rules. Wheatley rules. I've liked every Wheatley movie. I think that his most underrated film is actually Sightseers. I think that's still on Netflix. I highly recommend it. It's really good, and it feels like it gets slept on for Wheatley. Looking forward to Free Fire very much. Kevin Smith, I was one of those dipshit 90s kids who liked his early work and kind of had a hard time coming to terms with the fact that he had like two fucking ideas in his life and just decided to hump them for the rest of it. And I'm over it. I think Red State was kind of like a movie where like, okay, he's out of ideas. And then everything since then I've basically avoided it. I only watched Yoga Hosers because of how vitriolically hated it was. And I was like, I gotta see if it's as bad as they say. And it's worse. It's as bad as Adam Carolla's Sangria. No, thank you. When it gets really big, it gets very Marxian. It gets like I look almost indistinguishable from a picture of him. Clerks is a solid movie. If you're like Clerks and Mallrats were both very funny films, and if you're gonna argue they weren't, I think you're doing revisionism, which, as we all know from studying actual existing communism, is a horrible sin. I'm out of wine. My wine's gone. I'm trying to think of what else I have in the house. Everything's. I don't want to open anything because I'm not going to finish it. I've never been to Kings Island. I'm not a huge coaster guy, but if I was going to go to one in Ohio, I'd go to fucking Cedar Point. I mean, that's the big one, right? That's got the big shit. Why would I want to go to some rinky-dink bullshit just because it's closer? Adam Carolla is retarded. There's no question about it. The USSR, like everything, is good and bad. I think, depending on where you get me in a day, I'll tell you that should never have happened, and other times I would say that we would be in an unimaginable darkness if it hadn't happened. Right now, I'd say that's where I am right now. Yeah, it was a necessary thing if it wasn't what we want it to be. I don't watch Billions because Andrew Ross Sorkin, who is a fucking credulous dipshit Wall Street reporter who sucks fucking financier dick, is the creative consultant behind it. And fuck that. I mean, I know he gets pissed on and everything. When it comes on Netflix, I might watch. I might fast forward to the Giamatti scenes. I do listen to The Dollop. It's one of the few podcasts I actually listen to. No, fuck that. The whole Opie and Anthony, all of that fucking East Coast psychopath comedy, like Stern and all that, I never got into that. I just can't. It's not. It's not even like a care lord who thinks it's too offensive. It never appealed to me. It's not funny to me. Favorite historians. Fuck. I don't agree with him all the time, but as a guy who can bring things together, you can't really beat Hobsbawm. Lefevre is really great. Can't wait to read his Napoleon book. Foner, of course. For contemporary, Pearlstein. He's a lib, but he's amazing. Caro. Yeah, you know what? I should check out the Tony Judd books. I've heard Post-War is really good. I should read that. Ernest Scared Stupid is the best Ernest movie. You can believe otherwise, but you're wrong. Ernest Scared Stupid is great. I'm reading the Soviet Century right now, and it is not good. I mean, I think it's because of the translation issues. It's just the prose doesn't grab me, and then he's like, he keeps saying, I'm going to explain this, and then he doesn't. It's very frustrating. Ernest joins the army. Fuck you. If it wasn't released theatrically, you can fuck off. I don't recognize any of the straight-to-DVD fucking Ernest movies. The Ernest canon is Scared Stupid, Camp, Christmas, and Jail, which is my second favorite. If your friend says you're the Matt Christman of the group, you should be incredibly flattered because I am a delight. I haven't seen Moonlight. I will. Yeah, Mac Davis is really good. Thank you for reminding me. Late Victorian Holocaust is a great book to give anybody who wants to talk about all of the people killed by fucking communism. Like, as though the project of capitalism isn't on a fucking pyramid of skulls. But the thing about it is that it took longer, and it was in countries where the people complaining about communism don't live, and so they are not real. Trump is too stupid, lazy, and incurious, and comfortable, and to be a fascist. He would risk nothing, because fascism is about oblivion at the end. I mean, it's a number of things. Obviously, it's a capitalism responding to a historic moment. It's a flight from freedom. It's a sexual anxiety. But what it is, above all, I think, it's an aestheticization of politics, but I think above all, it is a death drive. Fascism is a death drive, and Trump is a fat idiot who likes. He might be miserable, and I think he is miserable, but he enjoys his disgusting creature comforts way too much to want to annihilate everything. So I don't think he's a fascist. I think he's unleashing fascism. Somebody, I think it was Brock Toon, Ian Williams on Twitter, made a strong point where he talked about how, Trump's voting base, as we all know, is not poor people. That's a bunch of bullshit. It is the petty bourgeois, as it usually is amongst Republicans anywhere, any election, but specifically in this election, given the change of the map from previous elections, it was the counties that are most ravaged by the opium epidemic. Like places where people are dying of fentanyl addiction are places where Trump did very well, better than Republicans both in generals, and him better than other Republicans in the primary. And his point is that opium addiction is really sort of an abdication of life and sort of a chasing of death. And if that's what some people in these areas are doing, who's to say that people who maybe are at a more comfortable economic position are not making a parallel embrace of death politically? I don't know. I thought it was interesting. Might be true, maybe not. But that's the kind of force that because a Trump presidency is nihilistic in its essential basis. He is not. But a reality TV bozo being president is nihilistic. And I think that appeals not only to Pepes, but to people in hopeless parts of the country. And that's the ground of fascism, where you don't have an alternative and death seems preferable to anything else, at least more interesting than anything else. So yeah. I do believe Trump wears diapers. Absolutely. I don't game. I'm not a gamer. Somebody wants me to talk about Kentucky. I only spend time in northern Kentucky. I've gone to Red River Gorge a few times. I mean, I kind of want to go to eastern Kentucky in the hollers, but I haven't had a chance to yet. I mean, it seems like a hellhole, but hell, so's Ohio. I don't game.